Thank you, Duncan. I'm going to speak briefly about the pension and health plans and the health and retirement plans for AFTRA. We know how important these questions are to people. The plans are, in many ways, the crown jewels of both unions, and they are the things that allow actors and broadcasters and professionals in our industry to actually have a professional career and to have a working life. So we want to make sure that people understand this, and I know that there will be multiple questions about it. So let me lay down a couple of basics, and then Kim, I'll turn this over to you. Number one, it's important for people to remember that the plans are, in fact, separate organizations from the unions. So you have the Screen Actors Guild, and you have AFTRA, and you also have the SAG pension and health plans and the AFTRA health and retirement plans. The pension and health plans, to use SAG as an example, has a separate office, a separate CEO, a separate staff, and a separate board of trustees. And because of the unusual way that these plans are set up, the trustees, there are 36 of them, are split in half. Half of them represent the union, and half of them represent management. And we come together at regular intervals to work together, unlike we do during negotiations where we're battling each other. The trustees work very hard to work cohesively, whether we represent management or labor, to do what is in the best interest of the participants, and we'll continue to do this. One thing that's very important for people to understand is that when the unions merge, that does not mean automatically that the plans merge. What it does do is trigger the process in which the trustees will have to tackle the problem of merging the plans. Kim, I want to talk about the feasibility report, but actually I'll turn this over to you so that you can take that.
Great. Thank you, David. As David mentioned, it is the boards of trustees of each of the respective plans that determine questions like plan benefits and structures, etc. However, as part of this process, we understand that members have health and pension benefits as an important question that they wanted to know about as we went through this process. So the two unions commissioned a feasibility report by going to experts in the field. We went to 7 nationally recognized experts who have a wealth of experience in ERISA, in multi-employer plans, and in fact with plan mergers of multi-employer plans. Those experts conducted a feasibility report that reviewed what their experience has been, what the state of the law is, what the fundamental issues are that arise when two separate plans may be considering a combination. And that feasibility report is not only going to be included in the material that you receive, but it is available on the sagaftra.org website. The feasibility report also looked at short-term as well as long-term questions that plans look at when they combine. First of all, in the short term, even though plans may not formally merge, there's possibilities for them to look at subjects such as reciprocity between plans to help address the concerns that members have about split earnings, to look at combining their bidding processes with vendors and other providers to help reduce costs. But in the long term, plans have been able to find ways to merge. And what the experts have said in the feasibility report, and has been borne out both by their experience as well as by the state of the law, that plan mergers are not only common, they are in fact encouraged by the law. There is actually no legal obstacle to merging plans, and the law is very specific in providing that accrued pension benefits may not be reduced. That is specifically provided for in ERISA. The experience has been that plans are generally strengthened when they combine by reducing costs, creating a larger financial base to pool their funds, and in fact creating stability. And any plan merger that trustees consider must be done in the context of ensuring that they are operating in the best interests of participants.
Kim, so Before we start opening this up to questions, I wanted to say that was a lot of information. And so please know that you can go to the sagaftra.org website. There are other questions that are listed there, questions that have been coming to us from around the country. There are answers to those questions, as well as, again, the materials, the Constitution, merger agreement, the due structure, feasibility report. You can review that if you haven't gotten it in the mail yet. And you can also go to sagaftra.org to ask a question if we're not able to answer it tonight, and somebody will get back to you. We've received hundreds and hundreds of emails since announcing this live stream event. And, you know, we're not going to be able to answer them all tonight. We're going to make a really strong attempt to do that. But if you don't hear your answer tonight, I just want to remind you, you will be getting a response from somebody at the unions. But before we go on into our questions, I think, Ken, you had something that you wanted to say?
Yes, and I'll try to be brief. Bear with me. I'll try to do this only once, and somebody record this so I don't have to say it again. But I thought it was important to explain to people that very briefly how I got into this position. My qualifications have nothing to do with the great legal expertise that you've heard. A lot of the people who understands the accounting even understand the history of various union activities. I do have 3 cards in my pocket that all represent over 40 years of doing this for a living. But I became involved because I saw the disastrous situation that we were in. I think a lot of us did. And I listened very carefully to the views of Unite for Strength, Ned Vaughn, Amy Aquino, and others who are desperately trying to, I think, get back to the voices of the membership to around the country who were desperate for a change. And I wound up being on the board and then somehow being inveigled into this, and became president. And I said at the time 2 things, and it was just instinct. It didn't come from political savvy. I said, 1, I really don't want to spread out the platform that I'm on. It would be misleading. I'm learning as I go. The platform will be that I'm here to try to get these unions merged, because I'm sure of this. It must be done because it was coming from everyone I heard, from the real membership, from the people I knew, from all the work I was doing, the overwhelming majority of them. That's why I was going to do this, and that what I was going to do was listen. And I really did listen, and I knew already, if I may, although Roberta and I have spent a great deal of time together, and we've worked very well together, but there's a bit of Rashomon here. Roberta's notion is the summer of 2000, you know, when we all got started. My recollection is as soon as I got elected, going out to dinner with her and saying, this has to happen. And her saying, well, yes, of course, it's very good, but how stable is SAG? Is this really going to happen, or it's just, and I said, no, you watch. And she watched as we kept reaching out and kept hearing from people. And in terms of Unite for Strength, I must say, and what we accomplished, Roberta, to her credit, stepped up a little ahead of time, because that next September, if you have your dates, 2010, we took charge. It was all because of the vote. It was all what people were telling us to do. Now, we were not telling membership what was good for them. Membership was telling us what was good for them, and we were responding. And Roberta got ahead of it, and we got ahead of it, and and we started working very hard and very fast. I said to Roberta, she'll tell you, kidding at one point, I may seem like Patton at times, but I think it's crucial that we push this, that we all get together, that we make this happen, that we don't wait any longer than possible. Management, anybody who tells you that management likes this idea is misleading you. Management doesn't like this at all, that we're going to merge, we're going to come together, because we will be empowered. And not only that, if we can make this happen, and we should make this happen, it is an announcement that we are ready to come together. We are ready to fight for what we really need, for ourselves, for our children, for the rest of it. It's true, it's the Churchillian thing. This is the end of the beginning. to really go in and be able to fight for us. And do not be, anyone listening to this, please do not think that this energy and this commitment from actors and performers is in any way to kind of cozy up to management. If anything, it's quite the opposite. It's us trying to gather our forces together, be strong, understand how difficult it is to take stands like this and do it as one, and really protect union, which, as you know, is under great attack right now in the country. This is really current. This should happen now. And if we manage this, and we should manage this, we will be seen, and in Richard Trumka and every other leader of every will tell you, as the poster boy for unions in this century. We will have redefined things, and it will be extraordinary what we've accomplished, and quite frankly, the credit we get for it. And I'm all for that. And we really will be able to move forward. So I'm not great at impassioned speeches, but that's the one. Record it or something, right? So I don't have to do it again. But really, that's where we are. And Roberta knows this. She's been so good about it. And one last thing. The people who've been involved in this, the hours and the passion and the weekends and the weeks and the commitment to try to get here in time and make this happen is extraordinary. And don't let anybody suggest to you that this is some intellectual exercise. This is a passionate effort to protect working actors and performers and entertainers and bring them together rather than have anything separate them. And so I would ask you to keep that in mind with your question and answers, that we are really here and have been from the beginning to help you, to serve you, and quite frankly, to save you. That's all.
Well, I'm going to vote yes. Absolutely. That convinced me, and I'm done. All right. But since we still have to continue, we have like about an hour left. I think we're going to go to the questions. That was great, Ken. Thank you. This is from Ray. He says, I am very proud to have been a member of the Screen Actors Guild since 1996. My question for our distinguished panelist is, does this mean our new union is a closed union with membership to professionals of media arts, or can anyone now join our Society of Thespians? Also, if no one has asked yet, may I have the new union card number 000001? That's good, right? That's good. So, Holter, would you like to answer that?
I was actually being told when I was going to answer the next question, so if you will send the next one down to my right to one of the esteemed colleagues over here, and I'll pay much closer attention next time when staff isn't making sure I know what I'm supposed to do now.
One of the answers.
You missed out on that one. Amy's going to do it. Thank you, Holter.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay. I've got a microphone somewhere. Here it is. All right. Actually, that's going to be one of the changes in the new union from what AFTRA has now. AFTRA does have a completely open policy. In SAG AFTRA, you will have to be hired to about to do work or have done work in order to join the union. So that's going to be a closing of the open door, basically, in this new union. And in terms of getting union card number 000001. As the treasurer, I'm going to push for a lottery for that, and that's how we can fund our first year. Okay.
Rebecca, can you do it in New York, please?
You bet. This one I'll turn to Roberta. It's an email from Matt in Boston. If we vote this down, we'll be able to send this back to the G1, the Group for One Union, so it can be tinkered with. Can we, vote on just portions of the plan? How does that work?
Excellent question. No. This is an up or down vote, which is pretty much the way we vote on all of our contract ratifications. It's how we have voted in past merger attempts. This is a comprehensive plan that has been worked out over a great deal of time. We don't have the opportunity to go back and tinker, and I think we really need to think very seriously about what happens if this plan gets voted down. We know that in 1998, it was voted down, and it took us until 2003
from 2003 till now is quite a span of time. And if you think about the things that changed in our work world between 2003 and now, and the things that could change in our work world in another 9 years, 8 years, 7 years, this is not an opportunity to tinker or take my time or wait. This is a comprehensive plan that's in front of you. We must vote it up. Remember what I said earlier, we're going to be able to amend our Constitution. The new National Board is going to be able to work on board policies, just as we do now. Nothing is going to change in that respect. Both boards right now change policy, have debates and discussions about how we want to govern ourselves. Both boards, both unions have ways to amend their constitutions. None of that changes. But if you vote this down, we will not be sending the group for one union back together again. If you vote this down, this deal is dead. And all of the things that can come after that sentence, this deal is dead, just think about it. You will have a much greater opportunity, frankly, to change this deal and work on the new union if you vote it up. But if it is defeated, then we're back to two separate unions trying to get work for two separate memberships and all of the other things that that entails. Thank you.
This is a question, from Matthew. It says, firstly, I do support the merger and think it is long overdue. However, I do have one concern. My membership in AFTRA is voluntarily suspended, and I have a large balance of owed to them, but am fully paid up SAG member. What will happen to the balance I owe AFTRA once the merger happens? Will I be forced to pay it all right away, or will I have some payment options? And I'm going to ask Amy that question.
I'm getting all the money questions. You will, any obligations, financial obligations you have to either one of the unions, you are going to follow you into the new union. We do have payment options available now, and I would expect, we anticipate to have some payment options going forward. You will be still a member of the union. Anybody who's a member in good standing of either one of the unions will be a full member of the new union. You will just have the same obligations that you had before, you will have going forward.
Thank you.
Are in many ways the crown jewels of both unions, and they are the things that allow actors and broadcasters and professionals in our industry to actually have a professional career and to have a working life. So we want to make sure that people understand this, and I know that there will be multiple questions about it. So let me lay down a couple of basics, and then Kim, I'll turn this over to you. Number one, it's important for people to remember that the plans are, in fact, separate organizations from the unions. So you have the Screen Actors Guild, and you have AFTRA, and you also have the SAG pension and health plans and the AFTRA health and retirement plans, the management. And we come together at regular intervals to work together, unlike we do during negotiations where we're battling each other. The trustees work very hard to work cohesively, whether we represent management or labor, to do what is in the best interest of the participant. Pension and health plans, to use SAG as an example, has a separate office, a separate CEO, a separate staff, and a separate board of trustees. And because of the unusual way that these plans are set up, the trustees, there are 36 of them, are split in half. Half of them represent the union, and half of them represent me. Thank you, Duncan. I'm going to speak briefly about the pension and health plans and the health and retirement plans for AFTRA. We know how important these questions are to people. The plans